Hola, and welcome to a Spanish-themed episode of Financial Bites. I'm here outside Barathina, which is a brand new tapas restaurant in the heart of the Dubai International Financial Centre. The first restaurant was set up in London in 2007. They now have 5 establishments in London, and this is the first one outside the UK. So let's go inside, review the restaurant, and see who my special guest is today. So welcome, Andrew. I've seen you for a while. I know you've been in Africa recently. Where was that?
That's right. Now I've been in Zimbabwe, Tanzania, Ghana, and South Africa.
Okay, all for business, yeah?
All for business.
Okay,
yeah.
Fantastic. Tell me a bit later, maybe. But I think we first met a couple of years back, and you moved with the World Gold Council from Singapore to Dubai. So maybe you can just explain to the viewers why you came to Dubai and a bit about the World Gold Council as well.
Sure. Well, the World Gold Council, we're the international market development organization for gold. So we exist to promote gold as an asset class. We do that in a number of different ways. We produce research, data, and insights. We have a global marketing campaign. You might have seen a recent documentary we put out on Netflix with Idris Elba. We've worked with Elton John on gold's cultural associations and its use in medical technology in particular. But we also work with governments to improve how the gold market functions. And that could be anything from improving the trading arrangements for gold, increasing access to gold through product innovation, or strengthening compliance of the downstream and upstream gold market. I moved to Dubai because Dubai is a major gold hub. Just last year, Dubai overtook London as the second largest cross-border trading hub. So when you think about the importing and exporting of physical gold, Dubai, or the UAE more broadly, is now number 2 after Switzerland. It's also a major consumption centre and a major refining hub. So there's a lot of processing that takes place here, where gold is refined into different types of bars, minted into different types of coins. There's a bit of jewellery production, and that goes global. So it's a real global gatekeeper or node in the gold market, and that's why we thought we have to be based here.
Okay, great. Well, why don't we try the tapas? I think we have about 5 or 6 tapas dishes coming. So, Andrew, be my guest. Why don't you kick off?
I'll start, and I think we have to eat it all in one go.
Oh, one go. Okay, let's try it. After you.
Thank you. Almost.
I won't ask you another question for a while. I'll let you finish that. While you are finishing this first tapas, gold has obviously been hitting many new highs until recently. Both Bitcoin and gold has come under quite a bit of pressure recently. So what's your take on what's happened and what the outlook for gold might be over the coming months and years?
Yeah, I mean, it's a very interesting time for gold. We've just produced our latest demand figures, and for the first time on record, we've seen 5,000 tons of gold consumed in a year. We've seen over 60 all-time highs last year in the price. What's been driving that, and what's unique about gold, is there's lots of different drivers of gold demand. But at the moment, the biggest driver is uncertainty. Political, geopolitical, economic uncertainty. That's a really big driver of interest in gold. And that's why we're seeing a lot of demand from investors now.
Okay.
Because you've got to remember that the use case for gold is quite diverse. In fact, it's unique. And it's that uniqueness of gold's demand profile. So you have jewelry demand, which is about a third of demand for gold on an annual basis. Investment demand, that's about 40%. Central banks, 20%. The rest is tech or industrial demand. That's very diverse, and that's quite unique. There's no other asset class that has that unique demand profile. And because of that unique demand profile, gold just performs differently as a financial asset.
And sorry to interrupt, but there are lots of ways you can buy gold. Of course, some people, particularly Indians, love the physical gold, whether it be jewelry or gold bars. But what other ways can you get exposure to gold these days?
There's lots of other ways. So online, some of the banks offer gold investment accounts where you have a balance that's denominated in ounces or grams of gold. So it's not a cash balance, that's tied to gold's performance. It's actually a physical balance of gold, and that gold should be sitting somewhere on a vault, in a vault, stored on your behalf. Then there are other products that are traded internationally, gold ETFs. You can buy, as you said, gold jewelry, and jewelry has this dual purpose. It's an adornment and has a lot of cultural value, but it's also a financial asset as well. So there's dual motivation sometimes for buying jewelry.
Are there gold investment trusts?
There are gold funds,
Right.
similar, gold,
Yep.
and it depends on the market and the regulatory regime, but gold funds where you could...
Yeah. So
you
they
could
wouldn't
buy
be at a
share.
discount or a premium like an investment trust can sometimes have discounts.
They should closely follow the gold price. So as long as it's
Thank you.
as long as it's physically backed by gold, so you're buying a share in the fund, that share represents an allocation to physical gold. There are other types of structures out there that aren't physically backed, so it's always important to understand the nature of the product and whether it's actually physically backed or not, because that changes the risk profile of the product. So it's important to understand those things. But going back to the original question about what's driving gold's performance, it's primarily uncertainty. And gold performs well in times of uncertainty. And it performs well because it's a physical asset, but also because it just performs differently as a financial asset to other asset classes. And that makes it quite a useful portfolio diversifier. So when your other assets perhaps aren't doing so well, gold can pick up some of that slack and give you some protection.
And what's the correlation between, let's say, gold and crypto and other asset classes? I presume it's not that closely correlated.
No, so crypto is an interesting one because we're often asked, is gold or is crypto the new gold? They're fundamentally different, and it goes back to that demand profile. Gold, you have the physical demand, you have the commodity demand. Gold is used in some industrial and technical applications. You don't get that with crypto. You have jewelry demand. You don't get that with crypto. At the moment, central banks are not allocating to crypto as a reserve asset. So very, very different demand profile.
And the volatility is very different, isn't it?
The volatility levels are very different, and it could be argued that crypto, sits more in sort of the speculative bucket, perhaps alongside equities, and it just performs differently. So we actually argue that they're complementary, because if you're investing in crypto, that's not without risk, and every product has risk. You've got market risk, price risk, counterparty risk. With crypto, you also have regulatory risk, because the regulatory regime isn't really settled internationally, although we're slowly getting there. So you're taking on quite a lot of extra risk. To mitigate some of that, you could also allocate to gold.
And I think you've got an arrangement with a well-known investment management company. Let's not mention them, but they have an ETF. Where is the gold for this ETF held?
Well, it's held in the vaults of major bullion banks.
Right. Okay.
And that's, it's important with ETFs to look at the prospectus, because in that prospectus it should tell you who the trustees are, who the custodian is, where the gold is physically vaulted. The point about them, though, it's about access and ease. Especially if you're buying gold at scale, you've got to think about storage and insurance. So some of these products can take that headache away and undertake those services on your behalf. So it's really about ease of access and account management.
Great. Well, I'll tell you what, let's try this before it gets too cold. So this is the
Patatas Bravas.
Patatas Bravas. So after you.
Thank you.
Yeah, so what we can do is we can now enjoy the food and have a little break. Yeah. So, Andrew, what do you think of the tapas so far?
Very good. Very, very good. Especially the first one. It was the banderia.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Lovely, yeah.
Let's just now chat about family offices. Obviously, there are thousands of family offices in the Middle East. Many are setting up here in the DIFC. So when it comes to gold, are family offices using it as a tactical hedge or a permanent allocation at the moment?
It's a very interesting question. There's a bit of both, but fundamentally it's a strategic long-term allocation. It's, as I said, it goes back to this idea of safety, gold being a safe haven asset, but giving you upside potential as well.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
and being a portfolio diversifier. And that's one of the key drivers of interest in gold, not just from family offices, but from institutional investors and individuals, is that need to diversify a portfolio. And that's really what's driving interest. Family offices, again, they can allocate to gold in different ways, but you do see a preference for physical gold, especially the ultra high net worth individuals. The UAE, Dubai in particular, has a lot of vaulting space. They've been investing in that. There's a new vault coming up fairly soon.
New vaults?
New vault, yeah.
Yeah, I've seen some vaults like in Mall of the Emirates. There's a vault there with amazing security. And I've noticed, you're right, there are far more vaults, not within banks, but independent operators setting up in Dubai, which I guess is a sign that people want to store their gold or their valuable watches, etc.
Yeah, that's right. And also, you've got to remember with the UAE, you have a very wealthy local population, but you also have quite a lot of international business people who are based in the UAE for a short period of time each year. So maybe a few months and then go to somewhere else. It's that particular market that you're going to see more of a need to vault with a third party. Locals who are based here permanently, because Dubai is a very safe place, will probably just keep it at home. But if you're traveling a lot and you're only spending 3, 4, 5 months here and going somewhere else, that's when you see increased interest in third-party vaulting.
So let's carry on with the gold theme. So if global tensions ease and interest rates keep on falling, will there still be a case for gold?
It's an interesting question, because the interest rate one was really the catalyst for what we're seeing in the gold market now. The biggest headwind for gold is high interest rates, because gold isn't an income-bearing instrument, so when interest rates are higher, fixed income products become more attractive relative. When interest rates start to fall, that's when you start seeing, or it becomes a trigger for institutional interest in gold. And that's what we saw. So when the Fed started cutting in August 24, that became the catalyst for a lot of Western investors to go back into the gold market, because they've been largely absent. And that's continued to be one of the drivers, because the outlook for interest rates is that they're going to continue to decline, especially in the United States. It's slowed a little bit, but given the political overlay there as well, we can expect that interest rates will continue to fall. That will be supportive of gold, because it reduces the opportunity cost of holding it against income-bearing instruments. The uncertainty thing, though, is that when you have increased uncertainty, as I said, that increases the attractiveness of gold, because one of its roles, not its only role, but one of its roles is as a safe haven and a mitigator against risk. So when uncertainty is high, that becomes a big driver. So if we do see a resolution to the geopolitical and economic tensions, that could have an impact on gold's outlook. But interestingly for gold, you also have the consumer demand, especially the jewelry demand. And when we've had such high prices, that has had a big impact on the jewelry sector. So jewelry demand has actually gone down in response to those high prices. And so if there were a correction in the future, you would find that the jewelry market would probably step in and provide that natural floor for gold. And again, that's what makes gold quite unique.
And how big is the jewelry market here in Dubai versus other parts of the world?
The jewelry market here is big, both from a local consumption point of view, but actually more importantly from an international trade perspective. Because a lot of the gold that's retailed and wholesaled here doesn't stay here. It's exported to other markets around the world. So domestic demand is important and is large. A lot of that is tourist buying, so tourists coming to Dubai specifically to buy gold jewellery. But then you also see a lot of wholesale activity as well, a lot of trading to international markets across the world.
While we wait for our final dish, which is calamari, I ask everyone the same 3 questions. First one is, if the World Gold Council was a dish, what would it be and why?
Interesting one. I don't overthink this. I'd be tempted to say something luxurious.
Or something like
actually-
chicken with, if you go to Salt Bay, you can have a burger wrapped with gold, for example. But that's very naff, isn't it?
Just a little bit, but actually I wouldn't want, gold is seen as luxurious,
Yeah.
especially when it's used as an adornment, but actually what we've been talking about is its role as a financial asset, a strategic asset. So actually I would go with something a bit more simple, like a protein,
Okay.
a wild caught salmon or something
Okay,
like that,
okay.
which is accessible,
Yeah.
but it powers your growth.
Okay.
And that's how we see gold. We see it
And
as
it swims
something-
against the tide sometimes.
It swims against the tide.
Okay.
It's a diversifier.
Okay, I like that. And what's the one trend in your sector that's perhaps overhyped and the other that's overlooked?
Well, we've spoken quite a lot about demand, so I'm going to talk about supply. I think what's overhyped is sometimes you hear these stories about, oh, there's a new gold discovery somewhere. Is that going to lead to a glut in supply and have a fundamental impact on the gold market? These are often overhyped. The time it takes to get a new mine up and running and the investment that's required, the capital outlay, is really significant. So yes, there are often lots of new discoveries, but that doesn't mean it's economically or commercially viable to exploit those resources. And if they are, it takes a long time for it to come online. So I think some of these stories lead to a bit of overhyping about, are we going to see a glut in supply and is that going to be significant? Usually not. Supply is very controlled. It tends to grow at about 1.5% to 2% every year. What's flying under the radar, again on the supply side, I would talk about artisanal gold. Artisanal gold is informally produced gold. Sometimes it's illegal, sometimes it's legal, but it's informal. And we estimate that over 20 million individuals rely on their livelihoods on artisanal gold mining.
Did you say 20 million?
20 million worldwide.
Right. Okay.
So who are mining gold for their own livelihoods, often from very, very disadvantaged communities. But it's an important issue because it's growing. It's now about 20% of supply. But there are all sorts of challenges, environmental challenges, public health. Mercury is often used by artisanal miners to process the ore. That has serious health, social and environmental consequences. And sometimes you get illicit actors, criminal gangs getting involved as well. So this is something that we're taking very seriously, and we have a global artisanal gold formalization program where we're trying to give legitimate artisanal miners greater opportunities to access the international market and therefore attract more responsible capital to the sector in return for upgrading standards of production.
Great. And if you could give your younger self one bit of career advice, what would it be?
I think it's important to plan, but don't be shy about changing plans. If somebody had asked me 20 years ago when I left university, would you like a career in gold? I wouldn't have had a clue. I knew nothing about gold, but actually I found it really fascinating. And I didn't get into this industry by design. I had plans to do other things, but opportunities came up. So I think it's always important to, yes, have a plan and have a goal, but don't be scared about changing your plans or your goals and be open to new opportunities because you never know what might come your way.
Great. Well, thank you very much for your time today and being part of this episode of Financial Bites. And I really appreciate all the help you've given me over the years and being part of a panel with the one I remember most being on gold, crypto and real estate.
Yeah.
That was an exhausting session, wasn't it?
It was a lively debate.
It was a very lively
lot of
debate,
opinions.
and it's incredible what's happened to those asset classes since that debate.
Exactly. I think it was 2 years ago.
Correct.
And yeah, things have changed quite a lot since then.
Precisely. With some of the crypto millionaires maybe not being so happy these days. So on that note, thank you very much for your time today, Andrew.
Thank you, Nigel.
So what's my impression of Barafina? The bill came in at 400 dirhams, which included a large bottle of sparkling water. So 200 per head, in my opinion, is not bad value. It's very difficult for them to offer a set business lunch when it comes to tapas. So I'd say when it comes to the quality of the food, I'd give it a 10 out of 10. Every dish was fantastic, particularly the last one, the octopus with paprika, with some potato on the bottom. As for the service, I'd give it a 9, given that the restaurant's only been open literally a week or two. It was exceptional. And as for ambiance, I'd give that a 9 as well. So if you live and work in the DIFC, I would highly recommend Barafina, either as a lunch or dinner option. And if you enjoy this video, please do remember to give it the thumbs up and like. And I look forward to seeing you on the next one.